besties, my name's Mina. Welcome to my channel, Mina Reads. Today we are starting a reading vlog. So it's Monday the 26th and I am in the middle of 2 reads currently, so I thought that this would be the perfect time to do a reading vlog so that I can like motivate myself to finish, because I haven't been feeling as motivated to complete books. I've been starting some things, but I haven't been finishing anything. So I feel like this vlog could be like the peer pressure I need to finally push through my current reads. So I am reading A Company of Fiends by Catherine Moon. This is a monster romance, reverse harem type deal, and I am about 80 or so % into that one. And honestly, I'm really loving that. Like, it's really good. I love the main character Hazel so much. She is so fine. I absolutely understand why there are a million men in love with her, and I love all of the monsters in it. There's one that I don't love, but most of them are really cool. Especially there's this one, his name is Ronan, and he's like an imp or something, and he's like tall and red and he has wings. I don't know. He has definitely piqued my interest. And there's also this one, he's like a giant named Nereus, and like he has like 6 arms or something. I don't know. It's doing what I needed to do personally. Yeah, so I feel like spooky season is all about being a little bit spooky, a little bit creepy, and a little bit sexy, and that's what spooky season is to me. So I'm getting into spooky season mode right now, and this one is definitely helping me get there. So I'm loving Company of Fiends at the moment, and I'm also, yesterday while I was writing a paper, I decided to start procrastinating by reading, because why not? And I started The Golden Couple by Greer Hendricks, and this and Sarah Pekkanen is co-authored, and I'm only 20 pages into this, but this is about like this rogue therapist who lost her license due to some unethical practices, but she still is working as a therapy consultant, and she helps counsel couples through their issues, but she seems like a bit weird, you know, so we're gonna see where this book goes. I do have the audiobook from the library, so I think I'm going to listen to that while I'm on my commute, but I may also just listen to the new Tamino album. If you don't know who Tamino is, you should like look him up on Spotify. He's amazing. He's an incredible singer, and I actually got to meet him a few weeks ago, and like here's pictures of us together, and I got to be there while he was performing some of his new material for the first time, and it was just incredible. I love the experience of that concert so much. We'll be thinking about it fondly for a long time, so I'm deciding if I'm going to listen to more of The Golden Couple or if I'm going to listen to Tamino's album on my way to campus today. Decisions, but we'll see. Besties, so I'm back from my classes and I'm joined by Bailey again. Move over. Okay, so I want to show you this book mail that I got. So I got special editions of the Wraith King series. The first book is called Radiance and the second one is called Eidolon, and yeah, so I got special editions of that, and that's what this is, from faecrate, and I ordered them like months ago, and honestly I had completely forgotten about them. But they're here finally, so we can look at them together. Bailey, what are you doing over there? Alright, so this is the little box set, and it has this art of Brescian and Ildiko. Interesting. Okay. And so these are what the covers look like. They look like they're pretty. There's like some flowers on the back. And the flowers, they have something to do with like the magic and the world building in this, but like, yeah, it's pretty. It has like shiny iridescent pages. I don't feel like taking the plastic off of these, but it has like shiny iridescent pages. Nice. So it's pretty, it's cute. Would I spend money again on something like this? Absolutely the fuck not. I think that these are cute, I think these are great, but I am just not a collector person. Like, I am not a collector. I love books. I love reading. I even actually really love this series, but collecting books and like spending money on special editions and stuff like that is absolutely not going to be something that I do again, probably. But these are really cute. I like them. I mean, they're nice, but still, did I need to spend like $70-ish and wait months and months for it to come in the mail? No, I did not. So that will never be happening again. But they're cute. I don't know if this angle looks right. I kind of feel like I look like I'm in like the confessional scenes in The Office, but hopefully this looks okay and the lighting's all right. But it's Wednesday. I just dropped my little sister off at school, and it's still pretty early. It's only about 9 right now, so I'm about to make some breakfast, and I'm gonna do a little bit of reading because my first class isn't until this afternoon. But I thought I should update you on my reading a little bit because I have read a bunch of stuff since the last time I updated you, which was on Monday. Alright, so up first, I will say that I have read more of A Company of Fiends by Catherine Moon, and I'm almost done that. I'm like 90% through it, but I just keep stopping. Like, I keep stopping and starting with that book, and I don't really know why, because I remember when I read Rook's Grave Manor, like, I read the whole book in a single night. I think I stayed up all night reading it, so it doesn't really make that much sense why I'm taking so much time to read this one. Even though I would say that I think that this one is actually better written than Rook's Grave, but I don't know, it's just definitely taking me way longer. But A Company of Fiends, if you don't know, is this monster romance. It's about this girl named Hazel, and she works at a theater that provides like sex shows for monsters. And so basically monsters exist in like this underground society in London, and so, you know, they're kind of like this hidden group of people, and this theater is a part of like that secret monster society that exists. So she is a nymph, and she's pretending to be human so that she can cater to like this monster human fetish thing, I guess, kind of, sort of. And anyway, this is like a poly romance where she meets all of these different guys through her job, and like she falls in love with them, they fall in love with her. I'm not gonna say the villain's name, but there's this villain from the first book in a series, and he is still being a problem in this book. So he is kind of like, you know, a looming threat in the narrative, and there's some stuff going on with him. So I will say that I like this, but I don't absolutely love it. I think that I dislike one of the girl's boyfriends. His name is Constantine, and he's like a demon, and he can split into like 2 bodies, and like it's the whole thing. And I'm glad that Hazel's having fun, but I just don't like him, and I don't think that he needs to be in the narrative. That's just me personally. And then I feel, but something I will say is that I think that Hazel is a really good character. Like, I really like her so much, and I think that if you read A Lady of Rook's Grave Manor, you will know that Esther, I feel like Esther she was cute, she was nice, but she was not a character who had a lot of thoughts going through her head other than wanting to bang her boyfriends, which I support her, you know, like no hate, no shade, but she was not a very like complex individual. But I feel like Hazel has a lot more complexity and depth to her, so I really enjoy her as a character and as a narrator. So it's good, but it's just taking me so long to read for some reason. And then I read volume 2 of this manga called Happiness by Shuzo Oshumi, or Oshimi, maybe. I feel like I'm saying the last name wrong. But Happiness is this manga about a boy who basically gets turned into a vampire. He's like walking home one day, and he gets attacked by a vampire. He's been bitten, and there's some things going on. It's just kind of like a coming of age vampire story. It's kind of has some horror elements to it. But I read volume 2, and I think that might be the end of the road for me with that series, just because I didn't love it. Like, I wasn't really engaged with it. I didn't think that it was super fun or interesting or anything like that. And I don't think that the main character, his name is Ozaki, I think, maybe. Like, I just didn't think he was that interesting that I want to read many more volumes with him in it, you know? And the final update is that I am reading The Golden Couple by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen, and I have been listening to the audiobook, so I don't know exactly what page I'm on, but I am 25% through the audiobook according to my Libby app. And The Golden Couple is about, like I mentioned earlier in the video, I think, it's about this therapist named Avery, and she has these like really unorthodox methods where she believes that she can cure any, or not cure, but she can like fix any client, help them figure out their issues, and, you know, resolve to live a better life within 10 sessions. And so we are following her as she is trying to help this married couple named Marissa and Matthew through their relationship troubles, because Marissa has cheated, and so that has really broken the trust in their relationship. But there already seems to be some other stuff that's been going on in the relationship that's going wrong. So Marissa and Matthew have this fraught relationship. Avery thinks she can help them, and she definitely does not deserve to have a therapist license, which they have addressed. She has actually lost her therapist license for her unorthodox practices, but she seems like a fucking weirdo and a stalker. Really, really bad. Is that a whole genre? Is that like a subgenre or something? Is it a popular like trope, archetype or something? Therapists behaving badly? Like, let me know if I'm just generalizing, but I feel like I've seen it somewhat frequently. But anyway, I'm gonna read some more of this. I'm gonna make my breakfast, and then I have classes later. So I'll talk to you guys in a bit. Hey dudes, so I finished The Golden Couple and I did not like it. So I think that this is really driving home for me the fact that I do not like thrillers, and I don't think that it is something that I'm ever going to be able to like, because I think that I dislike things about the genre conventions, not even just the you know, the specifics of any particular narrative, or, oh, I didn't like these characters. You know, it's not really about that. It's not about the writing. I think the writing in this is very good. This was a very readable story. It was very easy to digest, very quick, but I can't say that I enjoyed it. There's lots of sirens and things happening today. Like I said earlier in the video, this is, you know, about this therapist and the couple that she's helping, and so she's helping them through their relationship problems, and things just start to feel, you know, more and more sinister as things go on, and we're trying to figure out, you know, what's going on and what are the characters' motivations for some of the things that they're doing. But I think that what I just really don't like about thrillers is that, you know, it's very slow. It's just slow the whole time as it's building all of this suspense or whatever. And then you get to the ending, and the ending is so important to if you're going to enjoy anything about the book, because, you know, the ending is where you have like the grand reveal and where, you know, the villain explains their grand plan. And so if the plot twist doesn't make sense, or it's not interesting to me, then I feel like I've wasted all of my time reading the entire book. Because, you know, this story about this therapist, like, there's this side plot where the therapist is like being hunted down by big pharma for being a whistleblower, and it was like, it was so boring, so random, so extraneous and unnecessary. Like, why was it there? I have no idea. And the story went nowhere. And then the couple, like, they were so fucking boring. They were the most boring people imaginable. They had the most boring, flavorless relationship ever. And it just was just nothing the fuck going on. Not a single thing, right? But we're supposed to like be invested and care about any of that for, you know, hundreds of pages. And then we have to get to this point at the end of the story where it's like, oh my God, plot twist, X, Y, and Z is actually happening, or this is what's really going on. And I just feel like, who gives a shit? Like, who cares? I didn't. That's the answer to the question. I didn't give a single fuck. I just felt like it was so boring, and it just was like, why? I didn't like it. And the plot twist in this was so boring, so stupid. I hated it. The plot twist is actually pretty similar to, like, actually I won't say it because that'll be a spoiler, but it reminded me of another thriller book that I read that had a similar plot twist, and it just was boring and uninteresting both times, and I just don't like it. So I feel like after reading this book, I want to unhaul like every thriller that I own, because I just don't think that I enjoy the way that they're structured. I don't think it's the kind of narrative that I can get behind. Like, it just seems boring. It's just like boring, building to a climax, and then the climax happens, and I feel like the climax is always anticlimactic, and I don't like it. So thrillers are not for me. I have decided very definitively that it's just not for me, and I'm planning to unhaul like all the thrillers that are on my TBR, because I can't do it. I have not done any other updates, even though I have read a bunch of stuff. So I am going to update you right now on A Company of Fiends, because I also finished that, and I gave that 4 stars. It was a book that took me a very long time to get through. I'm not sure why it took me so long. It is like an almost 500-page book, but it wasn't like I was hating it. And usually I read romances a lot faster than I read this one. I feel like it took me like weeks, it felt like, to finish this, but I did enjoy it. I think that it was a interesting monster romance. I love a good reverse harem. I liked most of the people in the relationship. I already mentioned that I didn't love that one character, like the demon Constantine. He didn't do the things for me, but there's lots of very interesting, very unique, like, sexual activity that goes on in the book, which is why I like reading monster romances, because I think that it's interesting to see what authors do with the creative freedom that writing monster sex is going to allow, because monsters aren't real. So the authors can really go buck wild with their imagination, and I always like to see where their imagination takes them, and I felt like the places that this book went was interesting and fun. I enjoyed the theater setting because Hazel is a sex worker, and so I felt like that aspect of the narrative was really interesting, and I liked the way that it was handled. So I liked the book. I don't know why it took me as long as it did to read, but it was cool. It wasn't amazing. It didn't wow me. I was hoping that it would be a 5-star read, but I don't think that it was for me, but it was good. So I'm giving it like 4 stars. I think it was fine. Now I am starting Losers Part 1 by Harley Laroux. If you don't know, Losers is like the follow-up to her novella The Dare. The Dare is like really popular, but it is this novella about this character named Jessica and this guy Manson, and they're at a college party, and she gets dared to like be Manson's slave for a night. It's all a very elaborate, ridiculous setup for like kinky fun times at a party, and they do lots of kinky fun times at the party, including she kind of gets a train ran on her. So yeah, and this follow-up, The Losers, is about all of the people involved in the choo-choo and Jessica, and she gets involved with all of them, and it's like a polyamorous romance, and it's just like diving more deeply into the character dynamics between all of these people, because The Dare is set like a few years after high school, but the background information that's really important is that Jessica and Manson and these other guys, their names are Vincent, Lucas, and Jason, they all went to high school together, and Jessica was like the popular girl, and they were like the outcasts, and she was kind of a bully to them. And so now that they're older, I don't want to say it's like reverse bullying, but the tables have turned, so to say. And yeah, like it's very interesting. So I'm going to start The Losers. I want to see what the vibes are going to be like, because this is a really long, it's almost like 500-page book, which I think it should be. If you're going to write a reverse harem, like, it needs to be long so that there's enough time to like explore all of the character dynamics if there's going to be a bunch of people in the relationship. So yeah, I'm gonna read that. I'm gonna see how that goes. I'm having my carpets cleaned, so it's like very loud right now, because the cleaners are upstairs. But I am making my coffee in this cute little thing that my mom bought for me. These cute little disposable coffee cups, and it says it's fall, y'all, and it's cute. I like it. So I'm making my morning coffee. I'm The Losers, and I am absolutely fucking obsessed with it. So surprise, surprise, I have vlogged my experience with reading The Dare, and I felt a bit I didn't love it, you know, like I didn't absolutely love it, but this I'm eating this up. This is so good. So anyways, cheers. I'm gonna talk to you guys in a little bit. But The Losers is everything. It's everything and more, actually. So yeah, you should read it. Probably, maybe. Don't quote me. I didn't finish it yet. We'll talk more later, okay? As soon as the people leave and I'm ready to do my update, the camera's about to die. So this book is so good on so many different levels that I never could have imagined, and I don't know if I'm even going to have the vernacular to explain to you why it is so good, but I kind of think that this book is incredible on so many different levels, and I particularly think that this is like a master class in character development. And I also think that this is so good for angsty 20-somethings, much like myself. I feel so connected with Jessica as a character, and I'm so in love with her. It is so cold, so I have to bundle up. So it's cozy reading time. Let me update you. Losers is the continuation of The Dare. I've already kind of explained The Dare, and I did talk about it in a previous vlog, so hopefully you will have seen that, and if not, you can check it out. The Losers starts out a few years after The Dare, and so The Dare happened. They had that, you know, party hookup, and Manson really thought that their relationship might actually end up going somewhere, but Jessica, she is definitely one to run away from complicated feelings, and so she just pretty much ghosted him, finished up her college career, and now she has finished college. She's like an architecture major, so she's doing like this internship, and she's moved back home to save money while she's doing her internship, you know, in between being able to get like a full-time job in her career field. And so she goes back home to her small town in Tennessee, and she reconnects with Manson and the other guys, Vincent, Lucas, and Jason. And this is a really interesting story. I feel like this book, it combines so many different like tropes in an interesting way. It's kind of like second chance romance trope. I don't want to say like enemies to lovers, but it's kind of like a bully romance a little bit. It has like what other elements does it have? It's kind of like a small town romance, but then it's also polyamorous, which is really interesting. And all the characters are queer, which is just so wonderful, makes me so happy. I love it all the time. And it's just so interesting the way that the story plays out. So the way the story gets going is a little bit goofy. Basically, Jessica, you know, she continues running in the same crowd that she ran with in high school, you know, very cliquey, popular people who have certain ideas about, you know, who's cool and what's cool. And then Manson and his group of friends, they are like a polycule. They are living together, they are family, and they are all like romantically and sexually involved and everything. So they have like their own little family unit. They're living in this house together, whatever. The people in the community do not like them for being queer, for being, you know, just generally like social outcasts or whatever, growing up on the wrong side of the tracks. Like it's that kind of story a little bit. And so Manson and his gang, they're not very well loved by the community, and so we see how their group is really in opposition to a lot of the social connections that Jessica has when she initially comes back into town. And Jessica is a character who's really in flux because she's, you know, finding that the role that she's kind of cast herself in as this popular mean girl stereotype, like, it doesn't make her happy. She doesn't feel a real kinship with this group of people that she's kind of aligned herself with and who she claims to be her friends. Like, she doesn't feel good with them. She doesn't feel like that represents who she is and who she's growing into as she becomes an adult, because she's 22 now, you know. And she just feels like she's ready to move on from like the petty high school malarkey and social drama, and these other people are not. And so there is some like pettiness and immaturity that goes on in this. And so the popular crowd, they basically like vandalize Manson and his boyfriend's house at some point, and then they sort of frame Jessica for it. So then Manson and the guys are like, well, you need to pay us back. So they do this like ridiculous like sex pact thing that doesn't make any sense. But listen, who cares about it making sense? It's all just an elaborate setup to kind of force them into proximity with each other and to force them to communicate after a long period of no communication, because Jessica ghosted them after the initial hookup thing that happens in the dare. So this book is so interesting because all of the characters are so multifaceted. There's so much depth to them all. They all have such unique personality traits, and I love seeing the way that they interact with each other. Just and then Vincent is this guy who has like long hair or whatever, and then Vincent and Jason are boyfriends. I mean, they're all boyfriends, but like Vincent and Jason are like very, very boyfriendy. I don't know how to explain it, but like Vincent and Jason, they have blown my mind. This story is very dark and kinky, so they're playing into some kinky stuff that's like a bit wild. So read the content warnings, because they do some wild stuff. But I think that even the sexual elements of the story are really interesting because of how well negotiated they are prior to them doing certain things. And some of the more hardcore stuff that they're doing is like, she has explained like all these different fantasies and desires that she has, and then they're like making them a reality in a way where they can like make it a safe and controlled environment. And I don't know, it's just something about everything that's happening in this book that is so interesting and so well done. And even though I would say that I'm not a huge fan of like all of the kinks and stuff that they're engaged with, I think that it's done in such a way that I don't hate it. Like, I'm not entirely off put by them. And I think that in other smutty books that I've ever read, you know, if there's something going on sexually and then it like icks me out or it's not my thing, that usually diminishes my enjoyment of the book as a whole. But I feel like even though I can't fully connect with all of the things that the characters like and are into, I think that they're just so well written and so well conveyed that I get it. I get what the characters are getting out of it and why they are doing what they're doing. And I don't know, I just love it. I love the character exploration. It's a smutty romance. Like, it's, you know, like, it's everything that I need. I like when things are a little bit dark and weird and a little bit off, and I would definitely say that the characters are a little bit off, like a little bit. And I like when, you know, we get to explore characters like really deeply and understand the way that they work and what makes them tick, and like, you know, all of their thoughts, their issues, their dreams, their hopes, their fears, and everything like that. And I feel like we're getting all of that. But also, the book is really funny and enjoyable and sweet and fluffy, but then it's also really, really smutty and like ridiculous, and I love it. And part 2 doesn't come out until November or maybe December, like a long ways away. But I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. Listen, is it a little bit goofy? Is it like a goofy, smutty romance? Yes, but it's also so beautiful and amazing, and I'm obsessed with it. So that's where we're at. Hello, it's me again, much later in the day, still bundled up because I'm freezing. I finished, and I am absolutely addicted to Harley LaRoux's writing. I can't wait to read whatever she puts out next. I'm pretty sure her next book is going to be the sequel to Losers, so it's going to be Losers Part 2. And she just revealed the cover for it, actually, and I can't say that I am a fan, but I will be purchasing it. I'll have my pre-orders ready because it was really good. It was really good. I loved it so much. And yeah, so I'm giving it 5 stars, obviously. I think that this was a good reading week. I mean, I'm proud of myself. I did complete my reading goals for the week, which was to finish Company of Fiends and Golden Couple. And I read The Losers, which was one of my most anticipated releases of the year. So yeah, hopefully I will see you all in my next video. Bye, you guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. And a special thank you to all of my wonderful, wonderful patrons.